Well, they're very, well, I was going to say interesting readings. Of course they're interesting readings. But that first reading of St. Paul, writing to the people of Ephesus, it's a kind of a lovely little instruction, isn't it, on family life in a sense. Where he's saying to the children, be obedient to your parents, and saying to the parents, never drive your children to resentment. And so there is that sense that, of course, you who are families understand the challenge to be everything that God wants us to be as parents. Such a crucial job, which has such an enormous effect on the lives of the children and their children. And so it is a terribly important role, a sacred role. And certainly we need to constantly pray for parents, and as parents pray to the Lord, asking Him for that wisdom and courage and patience and all the things we need. And then it goes on, which is probably in our time something that seems unpalatable. It says, slaves, be obedient to the men who are called your masters in this world. Well, slavery in the Greco-Roman world was passé. It was just accepted, even death for slaves. So the church of that time is working in the milieu of the social scene in which it finds itself. But it certainly talks about telling the people who have slaves, just treat them properly, and remembering that God doesn't have favourites, and really making a bit of a case for slaves, which would have been revolutionary in those days. So even though it jangles with us now, in the context of the time, it was probably a bit revolutionary to have the church talking about the dignity of the work that slaves were doing, and that they were doing it for God, not just for their master. And the other thing is, I was thinking, we do take for granted some social things that happen in our time. I can remember in my own day, as growing up and as a young priest, that in certain companies and government too, I think, that when a young woman who might be in work and doing very well in her profession, employment, if she got married, well then they had a farewell for her on the Friday night. She got married on the Saturday and stopped that work anyway. And that was accepted. Women who got married didn't go to work. And we all accepted that. Well, now we don't. And so there is a sense in which the church is part of the society norm, not in accepting anything that's wrong, but we are part of the society in which the church lives, and must constantly challenge that, as we see with St. Paul in that letter, challenging, really talking to slaves about their situation, but talking about those who had slaves and how to treat them with dignity, and reminding slaves that they were working for God, not just for this master.